Welcome to Chase the Vase podcast, where we share hope for those struggling with addiction, hope for those suffering right along with the addict, and hope for those who are doing it on a daily basis. Staying sober and being sober is an anomaly. Most do not reach real sobriety. Life gets in the way of that. We have three definite choices when dealing with addiction. You either die and get covered up, you get locked up, or you sober up. Think about it that way. When was the last time you saw an old drug dealer? It's a young man's game, and it doesn't last very long. So this podcast, we're going to examine the lives of men and women who choose to hunt sobriety. Sobriety is not passive. It will not come to you. It cannot be completed by positive thinking or by osmosis. Sobriety takes effort, work, passion, changing everything, relentless focus, rigorous honesty, and real intent. Today, we're going to shine a light on addiction process using guests who are currently in recovery, those who are active in addiction, and talk to family members being affected by addiction. So each week, the podcast will cover questions being asked in real time and affecting real lives. Today on the show, I have Pat and Megan Powers. What's going on, guys?
How's it going?
Man, I have been waiting for this for a long time, to be honest with you.
I know, I keep pushing you off and pushing you off.
Yeah, so just to give a little background, Pat and Megan have been married a few years. How many years total?
20.
20 years.
20 plus, yeah.
And you have a couple kids?
Four.
Four children. A
Yeah, we've
couple
got
kids.
4.
So, and the reason I just want people out there to understand, usually we don't have really many couples come on the show because of they're just nervous to talk. They're nervous to share their story. And Pat has graciously agreed, maybe begrudgingly, to come on and share. But I think there's power. I think there's power in your process. I think there's power in your story. Because Pat, you are not per se. I mean, you have used alcohol and drugs in the past, but you can kind of take it as you will. Am I mistaken on that?
No, I mean, I could take it and leave it, but as far as drugs, I never got into drugs. Drugs never appealed to me. Never had a desire to, my thing was just, I like to drink a beer on occasion, just like any man, or most men do.
And you were that guy that could drink a beer and show up to work the next day.
Yeah, I mean, we could have a few beers a night, and I go to bed, go to work the next day, be fine. I wasn't I didn't drink just to get drunk. I drank to socialize, to relax, to have a good time, and visit. That was why I drank. And that was it.
The kind of the social. And Megan, you were the opposite.
I'm the opposite.
You were the kryptonite to his Batman, or his Superman,
yes.
Right?
Yes.
Well, good.
Right.
If you don't mind, kind of share with us. This has been a long-running addiction for you, Megan. So how long would you say you've been an active participant in the addiction world?
I started drinking when I was 14. So when I was 14, it's just the weekends, we'd party, go out, burn a tree down, drink some beer, whatever. And then it wasn't really get hammered, but, we'd get drunk and enjoy it. Even after we got married and moved away, we still partied on the weekends, sometimes during the week. And so that was good, but probably about the last about 10, 12 years, that's when I've been a hardcore addict. Yeah. I used pills for a while and got off of them. And then I went straight to where I was doing alcohol every day.
Okay. So what started first, alcohol or pills?
Well, alcohol.
Alcohol started, so you were 14.
14. And then at 17, I had a foot surgery and they put me on some hydrocodone or oxycodone something, and boy, I just like that. I really
loved them.
Yes.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah. Okay, so how long were you on opiates?
On and off probably the first 10 years of our marriage.
And it kind of
at first it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. It didn't get till we're in about 5 years, and then it started to where it was like start using often.
So Megan, when you say it wasn't bad, what does that really mean?
Well, I was using, but I didn't have to use every day. My body didn't have to have it. I could use and have a few and then not use for a while.
And you're
a
talking
couple weeks or
opiates.
whatever. And yeah, opiates. But I was still drinking almost, I was still drinking on the weekends and sometimes during the week then.
Okay. Pat, is this correct so far, Pat?
Yeah, I mean that's correct. It wasn't, because I really didn't even notice her pill problem, when that was going on much. Maybe just I was oblivious, or I don't know. The drink though, I'd always notice, because I'd come home and she'd start cooking dinner, start drinking, and be like, "Good hell,
Yeah,
it's friggin'."
it's 5 o'clock somewhere, right?
It's the middle of the week. What are you doing already drinking? I mean, that just wasn't. It just didn't appeal to me all the time drinking like that. But
So
it wasn't like she got.
Go ahead.
Well, and I was gonna say, so we had moved to Mesa and lived down there for like 10 years or so. And then when like that last year we lived down there, that's when I got really bad. I was doctor shopping. I had 2 different doctors writing me over 400 pills. And at times I would still have to buy off the street. Like I was into it bad, lost a ton of weight. And so when we moved up here, it was still kind of going on. And that's when he knew more what was going on. And so that's kind of when he stepped in and was like, okay, this is it. You're done. And he got me into community bridges down there in the valley for a 5-day detox. And
so 5-day detox.
Yeah.
Did it work for you? Did that kind of?
Oh, I was still so sick when I got home, because that was only 5 days. I did the Suboxone or whatever for a few days. And so it was about a week after I got home, I felt better. And I didn't mess with any of it for several years after that. So,
how many times?
But I still was drinking.
You were still drinking on it?
Yeah, still drinking.
Pat, how many times did you kick her out?
Never did.
Till the end. Well,
Well, I never did till just recently, the end. But over the pill, when she was doing the pills, I didn't. It was kind of, I had a lot going on my plate. In some ways, I knew what was going on, but I was in the middle of an apprenticeship at work with my career. I had the kids. I just had a lot going on to where it was like I just survived day to day, and so I never did kick her out. I just finally, when she finally went into that rehab place, the community bridges, I came home and she was gone completely out of it, and I finally had it. And that's when I told her, I said, "You're going to the hospital." And she said, "No, I'm not." I said, "Pretty much either I take you or the ambulance is taking you. It's your choice." So I took her and dropped her off there, and I just left her pretty much. I made sure she got checked in, and I was gone when I got her the next day, and just took her and dumped her off in Mesa at the community bridges place for the week.
So I know your story a little bit, and it talks about, Megan, you felt like during that time you weren't a very good mother, a very present mother.
No, I was chasing, I was more chasing, that habit. And then when I had it, I was so high all the time that, I didn't have time for the kids. They were little, and it was just hard. I mean, I wouldn't say I wasn't always there, or, I wasn't always there, but I mean, there was a lot of times that I wasn't there. Pat's raised these kids. He's done a really good job in raising these kids. We both have, but.
We both have, and, Megan's mom has helped us a bunch. Mm-hmm. She lives by us, and she stepped in a lot in those years with the kids when they were little, and, she had her opiate addiction.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of credit that has to go to her.
Sure. And there's no one was worse than the other, but what finally got you to get off opiates?
Well, when he took me to that place and I came home, it was good, man. When he picked me up, I remember telling him, "Oh my gosh, I see color. Like there's color out there. I used to just see like everything was gray, and I couldn't really, I don't know, but my mind was just so clear. It was awesome." So, going home and doing that, I mean, once getting off of him, that was just the greatest thing ever. So, yeah.
So once you got off that, did your alcohol habit now just kind of go through the roof, or what?
No, it was still, we were partying on weekends and stuff like it. And there were times, and I hadn't even got to where I was drinking every day or even during dinner every day. It was still a, casual thing here or there. I mean, I drink more than he would, but yeah, that the drinking every day didn't really happen until about 2.5 years ago, probably 2 years.
So what happened? So how did that happen?
You know what? It's kind of, I don't know. I know, but I don't know. Hell, I was drunk half the time. How do you know? I just got to where, at 5 o'clock rolled around, and okay. So I went to Mexico and I had surgery, and I lost a bunch of weight, and I couldn't. And before that, I only drank beer here and there. I couldn't drink anything but wine or vodka, whatever, you know, and so I started buying a box of wine. Well, put it in the fridge, start cooking dinner, and I just keep having a glass of wine to where it was happening every night, you know, and then he'd come home, so I'd have to hide it in the cupboard, and he'd always find it or catch me, you know, so I'd get yelled at, not yelled at, but just would talk and stuff. But yeah, it just kind of started there, just cooking and drinking and having a glass of wine. And then it moved on to vodka, and a bottle of vodka was easier to hide than a box of wine. So
really,
you know, us addicts have to kind of, you know, use figure something out to hide it. But yeah, I got to where I was just, I mean, it was every day, start at 5 o'clock to where just the time would start moving up, you know, and then all of a sudden, well, it's 3 o'clock. So I can at 3 o'clock today. You know, the kids are home for school and I don't have to drive anywhere. So yeah, it did that to where it moved up to about 10 o'clock in the morning. And that's when I would start, and I would finish about the last year and a half, 2 years, I would drink about a fifth of vodka a day. And yeah, it was bad. By the time Pat got home at 3, I was blitzed, and, you know, he'd send me and put me in the camp trailer and pass out because he didn't know what to do with me. He didn't want the kids to see me that way, you know.
how long did that happen?
That's probably, I'd really say she got really bad probably the last year of it or so, or
Yeah, probably the last year was really bad.
So you were drunk by 3 o'clock?
Most days, yeah. Some, not always, but not always. But there were times, yeah.
And so Pat, tell me how you handled it, man.
Honestly, I would deal with her. I would, you know, a lot of it is I'd make sure the kids were safe, and I'd take care of the kids. And I buried myself in work a lot, you know. If I wasn't around, if I didn't see it, and as long as I knew my kids were taken care of, so I don't want to deal with it. I'll stay here, you know. So a lot of my time I hit at work. But then if I was out of work, I had to come home and I had to find out what's going on. So, you know, any time that I'd go out of town with my dad, my brother, or I'd go anywhere, I was always in a hurry to get home. And it was why, because it was like, I'm real unsettled about what is going on in my house right now.
Well, even like this has been a big relief for him lately, but like him leaving work and coming home, he never knew what he was going to come home to. You know, we would text and talk during the day, but everything would be all, you know, happy and go lucky then. But then he'd get home and realize that I'd been drinking, or, you know, different things, or got into it with the kids. And because I would get to where I'd just black out, you know, and then I would say things that I don't remember. And I would, our middle daughter, her and I are a lot alike. And I would find her and just pick on her, and I was just not nice. You know, I don't remember any of it, but I mean, she sure does.
And it's hard to take that back.
Yeah.
It's hard.
It is, you know. So we had my relationship with the kids and Pat was very rough for a long time. And
okay.
Because, you know, just because I was what I was doing and saying, and, you know, I'd wake up the next morning not having a clue why she wasn't talking to me, but realizing I had, you know, yelled at her the night before and just said things that I shouldn't have, that weren't true. I just said them. I don't know.
So how are you fixing that now? Because I work with a lot of men and women who go through this. I actually know one very, very good friend. His mom has a lifetime restraining order on him. And he was like, I have no idea what I said to her, because he always said the things when he blacked out. Right. And so how are you working through that?
You know, we're all seeing therapists, which is good. You know, not all of us, but a couple of us are seeing a therapist. And we just really worked on it. We've done a lot of things one-on-one, and just her seeing me sober, like it helps. You know, it helps tremendously. We have our relationship has gotten so much better just since I've been home. It's 78 days today, and I can't tell you how strong it is now compared to what it was before. You know, and I don't even remember like the last time that we had a really good relationship that I could say, you know, her and I are really close right now. And we just never had that. We're so much alike, and we'd butt heads and argue about things. And so when I drink, I just let her have it. And it just, you know, and I'm not, I've got a rough voice. I'm very rough around the edges a little bit. So I'm
Not
not very
you.
nice at times. No, yeah, not me. Thanks, Brock.
Right.
But yeah, so.
And so how are
But
you?
no, a lot better.
Okay.
Go ahead.
And you have two daughters that are pretty close in age that were experiencing a lot of it.
Yes,
Right.
there's the two girls in high school, and then we have one that's in sixth grade, a little boy that's in sixth grade.
Right.
So those three really took the brunt of everything. They remember pretty much everything. And then we have our youngest one that's 5, and so she doesn't know, and she doesn't know much.
So Pat, I'm gonna speak to you, man. How did you, as a father, as a husband, how did you keep it together, man?
You just do. I look back on it. I don't know how I did. I mean, I have a very demanding job, and then trying to raise the kids, trying to take care of Megan the best that I could and figure out what to do with her. Very stressful time. It's been a very hard couple of years in my life. How I got through it, I did a lot of praying, I can tell you that. And that's probably the real reason why I got through it, to be honest. A lot of people I had people that asked that knew what was going on, and why are you with her? Why do you keep going through this? Well, for one, I don't know what my life would be like without Megan. She's been in it for 3/4 of my life. I've been with her. And I love her. And the other thing too is I was scared what would happen. The route she was on, if I was to kick her out or let her go, I was always afraid that she wouldn't make it. And I wasn't all right with that. I couldn't live with myself, let alone look at my kids and say, sorry, your mom's gone. And yeah, I could have kept her around, but I didn't, I wasn't at that point in my life where I could accept that. And so that was why I kept her and why I didn't get rid of her.
I would have drank myself to death. I wouldn't have killed myself intentionally, but I would have continued drinking and,
So there's a lot of guys and there's a lot of people listening to your story right now, man. And a lot of them are going through it, right? They're probably in the same spot you were 6 months ago. What would be a voice to them? What would you tell them?
I think my thing is I don't think that they're going to get better on their own. You've got to make that decision to where it's like, okay, enough's enough. It's my way or the highway, but you got to stick with it. And there's a million times I told it, enough, I'm done with this. I can't deal with it. I'd go haul her off, take her, usually just to her mom's, drop her off. But a day or two later, I'd let her back in. And where did it get? It got nowhere. Absolutely nowhere, till finally I was to the point, and I'd even talked to you right before I did it, and you said, dude, she's got to find out the hard way, man. But I had to be ready to do that too. You can't just do it. It was like when she went to rehab in Colorado that month, that was the longest month of my life because I didn't know what was going on there. I didn't understand half this. I still don't, but I really didn't. I'd taken on a whole lot, let alone the kids, which I've been doing anyways, but this time she was gone for real. It was very tough on me, but this last time I had it to where she knew I was done, and I made it known. And that seemed to actually be the changing point. Thank goodness.
So explain to us some of the steps that you took to kind of get that ball rolling.
As far as
getting that, well, first of all, you had to have a mind switch saying, okay, this is the last time, right?
Yeah.
And so you actually shipped her off. She went to Colorado for a few weeks to get some help.
That was after my DUI.
Okay.
So yes. So I got a DUI in March, and I went to jail that night, and he picked me up the next morning. And before he picked me up, I already had a place picked out. I mean, I had it all set up. So I left the day after that, went to Colorado for 30 days. He came up and picked me up. When I got back, though, I stayed clean. And then that's when I came to the Vase, and I would stay clean, and then I would relapse. And I would get clean, and then, and stay clean for a week or so. And then my time kept getting shorter and shorter. you know, for this time I was 2 weeks clean, and this time I was, you know, only 10 days, and then I'd use again. And so we went through back and forth through that for about 8 months. And then through that, the last like few months, he had kicked me out a couple times, but like he said, I'd come back in a couple days. And then this last time, this was, you know, the week before I got clean, that he was done. I mean, I had never seen him like this. He was done. So, yeah.
Well, let me kind of explain some. You know, I didn't know what to do. Before she went, I knew that she got really bad right before she got her DUI. And I knew she needed to go get help. But I didn't know what to do. I had no clue. I can't make her go somewhere. I don't even know where to start on this, right? So she called me and she got her DUI, and I'd have to say I wasn't the nicest to her, which I feel I still have my reasons. Said, I'll be there to get you tomorrow. And I pretty much asked, where do I get my car at? It wasn't her, it was my car. Where do I get my car back? At that point. So she gets this place in Colorado. I know nothing about it. She says, I'm going to Colorado. I got a plane ticket. I drop her off at the airport, kick her out on the curb the next day. Don't know where she's going, when I'm going to see her again, when I'm going to talk to her. Don't have a clue about any of this. It's see ya. You know, I mean, taking that in, that was tough. You know, I went to the far end of the parking lot, the airport, sat there for about 2 hours, you know, just in a daze. But then I got home and I talked to her once a day usually, and it'd be about 15 minutes is it. They'd let her talk to me. Half the time I'd hear people fighting in the background. You know, it was bad. The place would never contact me, tell me what was going on, anything, until I went to get her. So she wasn't in a good place, and I could tell. I brought her home, took her to the Vase, and it's where she'd met you, and you know, she seemed to be doing really good. But like she said, she kept on having relapses, shorter and shorter. And I didn't know what to do. I didn't know who to talk to, who I could even talk to. I tried to go to like Al-Anon meetings. Those weren't happening because of COVID. I didn't know. I tried to find information out online. There's like nowhere to go, nothing for family members dealing with this is what I found. Or I couldn't find any, it was hard because it was like I was going through it by myself. You know, I could talk to my parents here or there, but I didn't have nobody to talk to. I was on my own. So, you know, this went on, and finally, you know, it kept on getting worse and worse. And it came to our daughter's birthday. She was turning 5. And I kicked Megan out the week before, and we got into it bad. It was bad. And I told her, I said, you know, you can come to Ty's birthday, but you can't drink. That's the stipulation. You're drinking, you're gone. She came, we had the birthday, and she'd been drinking that day, but I didn't stick with it. Well, we ended up, and we're having an actual dinner for the next night with Megan's family. And I get home from work, and I could tell she drank. And I just flat out looked at her. I was done. And I said, you know what? You've drank. Get the hell out of here. I'm done. Well, it's Ty's. I said, I don't care. I'm done. Her mom was here. And I said, could you please take her away? She's not coming. And so Evelyn finally took her. And I could tell Evelyn wanted her to stay, but she could see where I was going with it. So we had a good time with Ty's birthday without Megan. There was that void there. And I knew when Evelyn got home, she was going to call and tell me, well, Pat, she's blitzed. I mean, we both knew it. Evelyn called me and said, Pat, she has not drank since I dropped her off. She's more sober now. And that was the turning point of it.
That was it. I was done. I even poured out what I had left. Like I had chose a bottle over my kids 1,000 times since then, or before that. And that was just it. I couldn't do it anymore. I was done. So it was hard.
I love that you were done. I love that's
Done.
that's done. Okay, so you stopped drinking that. It was what, 250 something days ago?
I wish, yeah. 78.
78, good. So
Yeah.
tell me what's different now. I mean, you guys look totally different. Your lives are different. I've spoken with your kids. Your kids doing a project on addiction recovery, which I thought was super cool. You know, they're in it. They're trying to learn about it, but what's different?
You know, I think having my mind changed to being just to the point where like it's family now, you know, I still am not the best like housewife and have dinner ready for him all the time, but you know, like just the us being together and being able to talk and being coherent and sober and just it's just huge, you know, like you realize like you don't have to drink to have fun. You don't have to have a bottle on you all the time. Or, you know, like before this, if I had to do this in my addiction, I would have pounded like 7 or 8 shots before I got on here with you, you know?
Right.
I mean, and I never even had that thought. It hasn't even come to my mind. I don't know, just the look on these guys' faces and the happiness and being able to talk to them, it's just amazing to where that, I mean, my mind is made up. It was a rough week. You
Sure.
know, that first week was rough. I went up and stayed with my dad and went through detox, and there was shakes and anything and everything you can imagine, you know, and I got through that. But when I got home, it was just such a different atmosphere, just knowing that there wasn't booze around. I think they found when I left to Colorado, I think he found like 35 hidden bottles. Yeah.
Oh,
You know, I mean, it was just horrible. I would just stick them wherever, you know, they were all empty. But yeah, so I got home and it was awesome. Just awesome.
So here, I'm hearing people asking me questions in my brain right now, and they're all going to Pat. Okay,
Good.
Pat. So I'm gonna talk to you for a minute because I know Megan's doing great. Her story's phenomenal, but I think the big story here is you, brother. And a lot of people want to get in your brain right now and run around in there. And some of the questions are, do you trust her? You know, after so many times of being told something, disappointed, do you believe that there's change this time?
Yeah, I absolutely do. You know, it was like I was talking to one of my kids the other day about, they used to be when mom was around, or, you know, it was always a search for alcohol. I got to where that's the point I was at doing this last 6 months, was always chasing, see if I could find her bottle. It was a game. I bought a breathalyzer.
Oh yes, he did.
I would question, have you drank? No. Okay, blowing this. Okay, well, you know, she'd tell me how low she felt that I had to do that. I said, do you know how low it makes me feel to have to do this? But I can't trust you. You know, and so it was like a game. It was a horrible game. I hated it, but my mind couldn't get away from it. Since, I don't know if it was me just making up my mind that finally I'm done playing this game. You know, I'm done with it. Just ease my mind, or her. I think it's between that and her coming back, and I can just tell she's sober. To where there's been maybe twice that I've kind of questioned, like, what the hell is she doing? You know, this is kind of funny. What's going on here?
Yeah, like she gets up and makes breakfast and makes the bed. You're like, what the hell's going on here? This ain't Megan.
Dinner's ready.
Yeah.
If she used to get up and make breakfast in the bed before I left, there'd definitely be a sign of something was up.
Right.
No, it's just weird. It's all of a sudden that worry went completely away, you know, and I haven't had it, and it's been nice. You know, it's not, before it was always worried. She'd go into the store, and either I went in with her or I parked to make sure that I could watch what she was getting. There's the point, like, I'm going to really stop the addict. You think you can. You're not. An addict is going to find their way to do it. I guess what you'd have to say is you have to I have to make the choice of, am I going to keep enabling her or not? Because that's just the way it is. I can't stop her. You know, and I tried my damnedest.
So have you stopped enabling her?
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't know. I guess. I mean, she's got her own free will where she could go get booze if she wanted.
Oh yeah, because I got my license back. I mean, everything, you know.
It's pretty much. I'm not going to put up with it if she does, and she knows that. But that's not why she's staying sober. I don't feel either.
No.
Because that's not what's going to keep her sober. It's her wanting it is what's going to keep her sober.
There's only been one day that I really had thought, and I called you out. I talked to you that day too. I drove to Flagstaff for an appointment, and they had scheduled me for the wrong one, so I drove over there, and there was a Mexican restaurant right by, and I thought, oh, let's have a margarita or two. You know, and I was probably only 30 days in, maybe, if that.
Yeah, probably
about a month in. And one time it crossed my mind and I thought, you dumbass, no way. And that was it. I not thought about it again. There's no, hey, I can hide it here or I can do this. I have no desire whatsoever to even go there.
So what are the biggest changes you guys are experiencing from it?
Oh, happiness. I'll tell you one thing that really, that I really am glad to see with Pat is that the worry of like him being at work or he's an electrician, he works on a lot of hot stuff, and him not stressing at home, the home life anymore is huge, because he always stressed that so hard, never knowing what he's coming home to, never knowing what he's going to walk into or what the kids are in, And so that's a huge relief for me, just to see the look on his face is so much better, but the kids, like they would not invite friends over or their boyfriends or whatever they were, they did not have anybody over because you never knew what mom was doing or what she was going to say, or, and now there's friends over here all the time. And
there's a peace in our house that you can feel. Mm-hmm. There honestly is. Everybody was on pins and needles. I was, the kids, everybody was, but we didn't know what to do. And it was just like, okay, what's she going to do now? What's she going to say? Or is this going to be a good night? Now it's, with that stress out of our life, it's crazy. The feeling you have and the way it's changed my mind set as far as what I focus on now. My whole day, every day and night was focused on her being sober. How do I get her sober? How do I stop her? That's went away now. It's how do I support her and we keep moving on in a positive manner.
Hey, man, I'm going to tell you, you're the superhero in this story. I mean, Megan, congratulations. I mean, you are honestly, what you're doing is phenomenal. We're here because
I couldn't do it without him though. You know what I mean? Like,
because if you looked at the odds and the stats and the numbers on this, most people they don't want to go through it. There's so much trauma. There's so much pain. Just the chaos, right? Pat, do you ever feel like you got just wrapped up in the chaos and it was like, it's one of those things that you have to watch to see how it ends?
No, I never felt like that. It was just, I just felt that I was stuck in it. I didn't know what direction to go, but it was like, I'm not ready to tap out yet. I got to keep going until she gets it. I've got to keep going. I'm not ready yet to tap out. So I even had people that I talk to like, okay, are you ready to let her go or not? And I'd be like, and they're like, do you still feel there's hope? I said, yeah, I do. And they said, then you keep going. We won't tell you what to do. You keep going and you will know. And I was fine at that point. And then finally she decided, okay, it's time.
I'm glad he stuck around though, dang it, I'm lucky. I not everybody would do that. There's a lot of people that wouldn't do that.
Hope is powerful.
Yeah, he's given us an amazing life. We have a home and vehicles and anything and everything we want. He's supported us, me and the kids and I, and to put him through that and him to stick around. He could have kicked me to the curb a long time ago, and I'm very thankful that he stuck around.
So Megan, there's a bunch of people out there listening and they want to know how you did it. So can you give us some, I know you were done, but you're still fighting a battle. You're still an alcoholic. You're still an addict like all of us.
Oh yeah.
It just doesn't go away, but we do recover. And that's the best thing. But so talk to us, tell us what you're doing on a daily basis to stay sober, to stay grounded.
So I tried the AA. I'm just not one that AA works for. I have a hard time going in and sitting, and I did it for months up at the Vase, and it's a great program for a lot of people. For me, I was just staying focused on what I have to do today, what I have to do. Do I have to make, I make myself a plan. You taught me that. You taught our class, that's huge to have your plan. And if something comes up, a trigger comes up, who am I calling? Who am I going to first? Or what am I going to do to talk me out of this or whatever I have to do. So using the tools that were taught to us is huge. You know, I never really thought they were. Coach would tell us, and mom, and I'd write everything down and think, oh my gosh, I'm never going to use this crap. I use it all the time now. So, you know, calling somebody when that phone's 500 pounds, you just got to pick it up and use it. But my biggest thing is probably a plan and just keeping my head straight. I don't want to use again. I do, you know, being an addict, you use once, you're going to use again. You know what I mean? You don't want to just keep trying. There's no, okay, I'll just have one. I'm not that person. I am a full-on raging alcoholic, to where if I'm going to have one, I'm going to have 50, where I'm blackout drunk. And I'm not going to put my family through that again. And so a lot of it is I look towards them too.
Love it. Love it. So I appreciate. So what's the biggest tool before we get out of here? What's the biggest tool that you've learned that you can share with somebody else other than calling your team? What else do you use on a daily basis?
Man, you know what? The breathing, the walking away, going outside, taking a breath, thinking, using your senses, you know, sight, you know, hearing
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Something. Yes. So doing stuff like that, and then Pat and I both do the whole walk away thing. You know, if we there was one time we met in the driveway about ready to throw punches, and I'm like, let's just both walk away. So we did, and we met in the house, and it was much better. So yeah, I think a lot of that is just getting out of the situation for a minute, you know, take some deep breaths, figure out what you're doing, and regroup and go back at it.
Well, from me to all, and to you guys, we're so proud of you, like both you. We appreciate your example. You know, it's amazing, and congratulations on your sobriety. So thanks for joining the Vase podcast, the Chase the Vase podcast. Make sure you visit our website at www.chasethevase.com to learn more about recovery and how to start your journey to sobriety. While visiting our podcast, please like and share and subscribe to Chase the Vase podcast. If you like the show, share it with someone who needs help, and there's always hope. Megan and Pat, thank you for your time tonight. Keep chasing the vase.
Awesome. Thanks, Brock.